They finally arrive at the treasure chamber. As they descend the stairs, Gilite notes that Eugene is the first person to enter without being the head of the family. Eugene asks what is stored within the chamber. Gilite answers that it holds the inheritances accumulated over hundreds of years, along with the belongings of the great Vermouth. Eugene then inquires whether the holy sword is kept there as well. Gilite confirms but clarifies that Eugene will not be able to claim it. First, because the sword is a symbol of the family and cannot belong to a single individual. And second, because the blade has never acknowledged anyone other than Vermouth. Eugene doesn't fully understand what he means by acknowledged, but Gilite tells him that everything will become clear once he sees it for himself. They finally reach the entrance. Gilite bites his finger, and with a single drop of his blood, the door unlocks. He invites Eugene inside, and the boy asks if he is not going with him. Gilite replies that he will wait outside, as he does not wish to influence Eugene's decision. Eugene thanks him and steps into the chamber. The door closes behind him, and his eyes immediately land on the holy sword resting on its pedestal. With a smirk, he decides to try picking it up first. The holy sword is a weapon that has existed since the foundation of the Eurus Empire. Legend says it was a gift from God. It remained sealed in the central temple until it acknowledged Vermouth as its master. 3 centuries ago, it pierced the demon king of slaughter. However, after that, it was used merely as a torch. Eugene bends down to pick up the legendary weapon. He grasps the hilt and pulls with all his strength. However, it doesn't budge. He concludes that even if he could lift it, he wouldn't be able to keep it, so it's better to look for something else. As he walks through the chamber's aisles, he comes across Aspel, the Sword of Gluttony, a weapon capable of cutting through mana and absorbing it to strengthen itself. He examines it, but remembers that Vermouth could wield it effectively because he was an exceptional magician. For now, it's too advanced for him to handle. He continues searching and spots Kabos, the draconian spear, which can unleash a dragon's breath. Nearby, he notices Winneth, the Stormblade, a sword blessed by the king of wind elementals. There are so many remarkable weapons that he wouldn't regret taking any of them. However, he soon realizes that some notable weapons, such as the Moonlight Sword and the Demon Spear, are missing. Frustration builds within him, suspecting that others have already claimed the most valuable relics. As he weighs his best option, he considers Winneth. With that sword, the wielder can command wind elementals, and with enough mana, even summon the Wind Elemental King. However, elemental magic is complex, even for gifted sorcerers. For that reason, Eugene decides to keep searching the vault. He steps into an area filled with accessories, but something immediately catches his attention. Among the artifacts, he finds an old necklace, the same one he wore as Hamel in his past life. That necklace belonged to his parents, who were devoured by a monster, but later avenged. From that moment on, he wore it until his dying breath. He wonders how it ended up in the chamber, suspecting that Vermouth took his body home. This triggers a memory. Vermouth and the Demon King of Incarceration made a pact to bring peace, leaving 2 Demon Kings and their domains untouched. Eugene recalls the conversations he had with his comrades about defeating all 5 Demon Kings. Now he questions what kind of agreement was made while his necklace was left behind in this chamber. He assumes they must have compromised due to their lack of power after his death. Although he wishes not to resent his comrades, he is certain there must have been a compelling reason why they couldn't eliminate the remaining Demon Kings. The chamber holds extraordinary weapons, but he refuses to leave the necklace behind. Upon exiting, Gilite is surprised by Eugene's choice. Eugene simply states that he picked something he liked. Still doubtful, Gilite remarks that the chamber is filled with incredible treasures. Eugene responds that he isn't ready to wield those weapons yet. Gilite then asks to inspect the necklace. After examining it, he sees no value in the gem or craftsmanship. It's just a cheap trinket with no place in the vault. To confirm, he places it in front of the chamber's keyhole. The lock glows red, signifying that the necklace is not registered as a Lionheart treasure. Perplexed, Gilite informs Eugene that the item doesn't belong inside the vault, yet Eugene insists he found it there. Still puzzled, Gilite questions if Eugene is certain about his choice, pointing out that even if he sold the necklace, it wouldn't fetch enough to buy a basic sword. Without hesitation, Eugene reaffirms his decision. Acknowledging his resolve, Gilite agrees, but decides to take the necklace to Labirian for appraisal, suspecting it might be enchanted. He remains surprised by the situation, and notes that since the necklace technically isn't a Lionheart treasure, Eugene is allowed to pick something else from the chamber. Grateful, Eugene thanks him and dashes back inside. He still can't believe one of Vermouth's descendants is surprisingly reasonable and sensible. This time, Eugene moves with certainty. Without hesitation, he strides toward Winneth, the Stormblade, unsheathes it, and declares that it is now his. Back at the mansion, Desera is yelling at Eugene, Demanding to know why he didn't pick up a spear if he's proficient with it, Eugene responds that it was his decision and that he's also skilled with a sword. Gargus remarks that the blade looks very light. A hammer or an axe would have been a much better choice, but Eugene repeats that it was his choice. Striking an odd pose, Gargi offers to take him to his family to get some muscle-enhancing medicine, but Eugene declines without hesitation. Descendant tells him to ignore the muscle head and asks him to draw his sword. She inquires about its nature, and Eugene answers that it is the storm blade Winneth, a weapon imbued with the blessing of the elemental king of wind, which can be summoned with sufficient mana training. Descendant admits that it is impressive but insists that a spear would have been better. Eugene mentions that he saw plenty of spears inside the vault, which instantly excites her. She eagerly asks if he came across the draconian spear Carbos, capable of unleashing dragon's breath with every thrust, or the demon spear Ruintis, the most formidable weapon in Vermouth's arsenal. Gargus joins the conversation, explaining that Ruintis was once wielded by the demon king of brutality. 3 centuries ago, in the devildom of Helmuth, there were 5 demon kings. The first ranked was the demon king of apocalypse. Second was the demon king of incarceration. Third, the demon king of frenzy. Fourth, the demon king of brutality. And fifth, the demon king of slaughter. Gargus continues, correcting Desira, stating that the strongest weapon in Vermouth's collection was actually the destructive crusher Gigolus. The two begin arguing over which weapon is superior, while Eugene recalls that the crusher was also absent from the chamber. Ruintis and Gigolus were once wielded by demon kings. Such ominous artifacts were likely sealed away elsewhere. Growing weary of their childish bickering, Eugene departs, pondering which of the two might be superior. However, there is no debate regarding the mightiest weapon in Vermouth's possession. The Moonlight Sword, destruction given form in the shape of a blade, remains sealed in the depths of Helmuth. Long ago, Vermouth wielded it to annihilate both the Demon King of Brutality and the Demon King of Slaughter. Eugene stands with Winneth drawn, feeling a rush of exhilaration as he grips a genuine sword for the first time in this life. He begins swinging the blade, catching Desira and Gargus's attention. His movements flow with elegance, leaving a luminous blue trail in their wake. The two watch, captivated by the breathtaking swordplay on display. Meanwhile, inside the mansion's office, Loberian is scrutinizing the necklace. He concludes that there is no trace of magic on it. Seeking confirmation about where it was discovered, he asks Gillate, who affirms without a doubt that it was found inside the vault. Loberian wonders if the boy was attempting some kind of deception, but Gillate dismisses the idea, asserting there was no reason for such a ploy. If he had not allowed Eugene to retrieve another artifact from the vault, the boy would have left empty-handed. Loberian agrees that it would have been an extremely reckless gamble. Although the necklace contains no magic, Loberian decides to investigate further. There exists a spell, devised by the wise Sienna, that enables one to read the lingering memories within mana. Since mana is omnipresent, some objects absorb it over time, allowing their history to be unveiled through the technique. Concentrating his mana on the necklace, Loberian experiences a rush of visions peering into the past. He manages to glimpse a moment from 100 years ago when the necklace was originally purchased. Unfortunately, he is unable to extract any valuable information, likely due to the mana being distorted by its prolonged storage within the vault. Gillate takes hold of the necklace, remarking that no one alive could possibly recognize it after all these years. Loberian asks what he intends to do with it. Gillate responds that he will return it to Eugene, since the boy desired it enough to forgo a priceless treasure. Loberian notices that Gillate has developed a fondness for Eugene. Gillate rises to his feet, gazing at Eugene as he skillfully wields his blade, and admits that it is rather obvious. At that moment, he makes up his mind. He will extend the offer. Loberian seeks confirmation, wanting to be certain that they are thinking the same thing. Gillate nods, affirming his decision. He will adopt Eugene Lionheart as his son. The following day, Jion arrives and greets Eugene with a cheerful tone, startling Nina. To Eugene, Jion is an oddball. Despite being Gillate Lionheart's youngest brother, he never married. Eugene introduces himself politely, but Jion waves it off, saying he already knows who he is. He grabs Eugene and congratulates him for being the collateral child who triumphed over the main line in the bloodline continuation ceremony. Shrugging off his grip, Eugene asks if he has come to take him away. Jion confirms, explaining that Gillate originally planned to send another knight, but he volunteered instead. He wanted to meet the prodigy in person. He continues, saying that he has heard a lot about Eugene but didn't get the chance to witness his skills during the ceremony. That was due to the family tradition, allowing only the patriarch to observe the event. However, this time was an exception since Loberian was there to assist. Jian quickly clarifies that he holds no resentment towards his brother or the custom. He doesn't want to sound as if he is dissatisfied with the family's rules. Eugene responds that he doesn't care about it, to which Jian remarks that his brother wouldn't either. Eugene notes that Jian's personality reflects his free spirit, which might explain why he never married. As they walk through a corridor of the mansion, Eugene asks why the head of the family has summoned him, but Jian is unsure. He suggests it might simply be to congratulate him. Eugene points out that he has already received enough praise, and Jian admits he doesn't know the reason either. He shrugs, saying he has no clue but doesn't particularly care. He adds that it will be great to see Eugene more often. He knocks on the door, and Gilite grants him permission to enter. Jian helps open it, but before leaving, playfully winks at Eugene, making him uncomfortable with his overbearing personality. Gilite welcomes him, apologizing for the sudden summons and offering him a seat. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.